Hi everyone, Matt, CEO of Inception Labs, and today I'm going to talk about the macronutrient of protein and some sources, how much you should be trying to get into your diet, and why it's important for me to even do this video. So starting out, when I have clients come to me, often one of the key things that they're deficient in is protein. And for those of us experienced on our health journey, for those of us who've been on the diet journey for a while, you probably find that almost weird to hear, but a lot of people undereat the amount of protein in a day. I've had some clients come to me who might have meat once every 2 to 3 days. They don't use protein powder. They're getting hardly any incidental protein from their vegetables because they're not trying to supplement in with legumes or beans and the types of vegetables which are high in protein, or plant-based sources which are high in protein. And so they're just deficient in protein. It just doesn't feature in their diet. But everybody has to get enough of this. It's so important to make sure you're getting an adequate amount of protein, and that's not just about bulking up and looking big in the gym. So what are some of the key benefits of protein and getting an adequate protein intake? Well, first off, protein is the key macronutrient for building and repairing muscle tissue. If you're injured, if you strain a muscle, you're going to repair through the ingestion of protein. Protein creates branched chain aminos, and branched chain aminos are what repair our muscles. So it's critical to be getting enough protein to be able to build and repair tissues. It's critical for the formation of enzymes and hormones in our system. Without protein, we can't produce insulin and human growth hormone. So we need to have protein for key production of enzymes and hormones. It's crucial for immune health. Antibodies that our body produces, they are made of proteins. So we have to have a protein-rich environment to have a strong immune system. It's critical for oxygen transport through the body, hemoglobin, that's determined by our protein intake. There was maybe 10 years ago some very controversial studies that came out that implied high protein diets were actually detrimental to bone health. They've been completely discredited, so if anybody's tripped over those studies, please ignore them. Protein is unequivocally determined to support bone health, so you need adequate protein in your diet to support bone health. Sources of protein are meats, plant protein, so beans, legumes, tofu. You want to be trying to get protein from as many sources as possible to get that full amino profile. So different proteins have different aminos. Some proteins actually have fats with them. So if you look at salmon, it has a perfect balance of omega fats with it. So if you can consume salmon, you're getting protein and fats at the same time. One thing to be careful of with plant proteins is they are lacking in a full amino profile. So if you're on a plant-based diet, you need to make sure that you're having a huge variety of plant-based proteins to make sure you're getting those aminos, because you might say take rice and it will have certain aminos in the proteins, but then you might take a pea protein which has got other aminos. So you just want to make sure that as a vegan or a vegetarian, you're getting a massive variety for your protein sources. Now, in terms of the amount of protein, typically for an average person, generally sedate, not doing specific exercise in the day, you want to be aiming for about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram. So if you weigh 100 kilos, you want to be getting about 80 grams of protein per day. Now, 80 grams of protein is of the actual macronutrient protein, not just 80 grams of meat. So if you take, say, 100 grams of chicken breast, you might get 20 grams of protein. So if you're 100 kilos and you're trying to get 80 grams of protein, you'd have to eat 400 grams of chicken breast throughout the day. Very generally speaking. It can be different depending on the water content and so on, but that generally speaking, you need to be looking at the protein amount, not the weight of the actual food. Now, if you're active, that significantly increases. If you're doing resistance training, it increases even more. So as soon as you're starting to get into some form of active training, you're going to need between 1.2 and 2 grams grams per kilogram of body weight. So you need to keep in mind how much you're exercising, what type of exercise you're doing, and then use that to help determine your protein requirements. But typically, if you're doing cardio and you're doing that type of endurance style training, you want to be getting at least 1.2 to 1.5 grams per day. If you're doing intense endurance training or heavy weight training, HIIT training, that style, you need to be getting up towards that 2 grams of protein per day. And I hope you found this video useful.